how to rearrange your property portfolio to make more money. Now, my name's Kevin Wright, and I'm going to be talking about that in this week's property finance video. Interested in learning how to make more money out of your portfolio? Hey, keep watching. So how to jiggle the properties in your portfolio to make more money. Well, I'm going to do two things on this video. I'm going to deal with a specific couple's question they asked me, and then look, keep watching this because I'm going to give you some generic advice on rejigging your portfolio to make more money out of it. Even if what I'm saying about this specific couple, you think, well, that doesn't apply to me. So keep watching this one until the end. I know the tendency is to switch off when you think it doesn't apply to you, but hey, look, I don't keep you on half an hour anyway, do I? You know, my videos are normally short, no longer than 10 minutes. So I just say what I've got to say and then I get off. Now, it's no surprise that I frequently get asked questions about property finance. I mean, I've been brokering it for 20 plus years and been training investors on it, how to use it intelligently for the last 10 years. Now, I'm going to look at a question this week that a couple asked me. Now, their situation may be a bit unusual, but it's certainly not unique. Let me give you a breakdown of where they're at. Now, they've got a house that's their main residence, but some years previously, they converted it into flats. Now, they live on the ground floor, but above them are 2 3-bedroom flats that they rent out. Now, before you go getting any great ideas about wanting to do this, the caveat here is that this mortgage was granted well over 20 years ago, in fact, is about to run out. So the term is about to run out, and they've never refinanced it or borrowed more money. It's about 30% loan to value. Now, some years ago, they decided they didn't need this big house because there's only themselves to live in. And the rental income from the 2 flats upstairs provides a nice little retirement income for them. The guy is 76 and his wife is coming up 63. Now, the concern is, A, they're not going to get another mortgage that would allow them to do what they've currently been doing, and B, their age is against them as well. Now, they've been chatting to a broker who said, well, look, get buy-to-let mortgages on the 2 flats, and that will enable you to clear off the mortgage on your flat below. You'll live borrowing free, you'll still get the rental income from above, but the mortgage that you've been paying will now be transferred from your main residence part to your flats above. There's a certain logic in that because the payments probably wouldn't be too different, not borrowing any more money, you're just rejigging the properties that you're borrowing it against. Now, this couple were reluctant to do that. And I think there's a bit of a mindset issue around here because they've been used to the rent coming on these 2 unencumbered flats above, but although it's not on the same property, they've been having to pay it on a main residence mortgage. And look, buy-to-let mortgage is going to be a bit higher. Yes, of course they are. So it is going to be an increase in cost compared to what they've been used to been paying on their main residence mortgage in all likelihood. So the way mortgage lenders currently look at lending, this proposition falls between 2 stools. First of all, if it was a main residence mortgage, they don't permit you to rent out parts of your main residence. Now, let me clarify that still further. If you're renting out a bedroom or 2 bedrooms to a lodger who live in the main house the same as you do, then main residence lenders are probably okay with that. But that's not what's going on here, is it? These are 2 self-contained 3-bedroom flats on the upper floors. And it's the renting out of 2 self-contained units on the same title that main residence mortgage lenders have an issue with. So current lending criteria, it might have worked 20 plus years ago, but it isn't going to work now. Well, then let's put it all on one buy-to-let mortgage. No, that's not going to work either. Here's why.
Hey, have you subscribed yet? If not, click the button there. Oh, and that dingy belly thing there so you don't miss a new video every time I release one. Ding it. And follow me on Instagram too. There's the button down there. Thank you.
Buy-to-let mortgage lenders do not allow you to live in your property. Now, you may be thinking, why have they got an issue with this? Well, it's to do with regulation and non-regulation. So the property you live in, if it's got a mortgage on it, it's an FCA regulated product. All buy-to-let mortgages, because you rent them out, you don't live in them, are not FCA regulated. So by living in your buy-to-let property, or even part of it, it contradicts the non-regulated nature of your buy-to-let mortgage. So that's not an option either. So what other ways could work? Well, splitting the title could work. Keep the main residence ground floor flat on its own title, but hive off the 2 3-bedroom flats upstairs on a separate or 2 separate titles. Now that would have the effect of making the ground floor flat eligible for a main residence mortgage. And regardless on what's happening with interest rates at any given time, main residence mortgage rates are pretty much always cheaper than buy-to-let ones. Now, creating a new title is not an expensive operation. With a decent solicitor that knows what they're doing, it shouldn't be more than £1,000. So it's a pretty low-cost solution to this way of leaving the 2 upstairs flats unencumbered, but carrying on paying a main residence mortgage for this couple into their retirement. Now, as long as their pension income is sufficient to support that mortgage, it shouldn't be an issue. Now, following on from that, if you put the 2 flats upstairs on a single title, it won't fit with standard buy-to-let mortgages because they don't lend on multiple units on a single title. But it would fit on an MUFB mortgage, multi-unit freehold block mortgage. Now, a good broker can work out which of the 2 is going to be beneficial. The issue with taking a main residence mortgage, age is a bit of an issue, but income could be the bigger issue because main residence mortgages are purely around income and how you spend it. An MUFB mortgage on the upper floors is rental income dependent primarily and personal income dependent secondarily, which means it may be easier to raise the money required to pay off the main res mortgage that's expiring by using an MUFB mortgage on the flats upstairs. Now, a good broker would work out the numbers on each and present the best solution. Now, I said keep watching because I'm going to generalise this out now. So what I'm now going to move on to could be far more relevant to you if what we've just been talking about wasn't overly so. Now, one thing we've been successful with on portfolio landlords, and if you're one of those, hey, listen up, is that they've acquired their portfolio on a piecemeal basis, in most cases, and with rising property prices, there's probably different loan to values on each of their properties. Some are more highly geared, some, if they haven't been refinanced for a while, are more lowly geared. So you might have some at, let's say, 65, 70%, but you could have others maybe below 50%. So here's an angle that could work and has worked in the past. When you're able to, and of course redemption penalties could play a part in your timing here, but when you're able to, take your borrowing on certain properties in your portfolio up to 75%. Take that cash that you pull out, pick the smallest mortgage outstanding in your portfolio and pay down that mortgage. And remember to check if your lender has any penalties for large lump sum repayments. Most allow 10% of the balance per year with no penalties. Now, when this works best in the past, by putting some of your mortgages up to 75% to pay down one of your other mortgages, it has been possible to pay off that mortgage, that smallest mortgage, without increasing your overall borrowing across the portfolio at all. You haven't borrowed more money, you've just repositioned which houses, or flats of course, have got the mortgages on. Now, why would it be an advantage to have an unencumbered or mortgage-free property? Here's why. Because if you're into buying unmortgageable problem properties, which you've seen me talk about on numerous videos, having an unencumbered property that you can put up as an additional security to avoid putting any cash into the deal in terms of deposit or refurb costs can be a great way to secure a problem property at a below average price, a knockdown price if you will, that you can then solve the problem, add exponential value, refinance that out onto a mortgage at usually 75% and clear all the bridging on the property you've just bought as well as the one that you had that got no mortgage on it. Now, if you didn't quite follow that, well, just put a pause on there, rewind it back to that bit and watch that again. Watch that as many times as you need to get it, because this is a very powerful leverage strategy to get you into more deals and bigger deals without having to have piles of cash sitting in the bank. And you may not need to have any additional resources to what you've got right now. You've just rejiggled them about a bit to give you a better result. So there we are. That's my property finance video for this week. And you won't be surprised to know that I'm going to be back with another one next week. So if you enjoyed this one, so hey, see you next week.
If you enjoyed watching this video, did you know every Monday morning at 8:30 I do a live Facebook Q&A. So if you want to start the week with checking out some answers to your property finance questions, click the link here.